Once you've created your macros, written your code, edited your code, and you're absolutely sure that everything is working correctly, then you add your error handling. The error handling is the final thing that you add to your code to polish your code off. Code that doesn't have error handling, I consider an unfinished job. I've opened up the file chapter 5 and I've saved it as chapter 16. When I look in the Visual Basic Editor, I can see there's two sub-procedures, one called Object Variable and one called Excel Objects. I'm going to run the Object Variable or step through the Object Variable sub-procedure because I know it's going to cause an error. The reason I know it's going to cause an error is because this particular sub-procedure is asked to add a sheet and then to name that sheet I'm new. So the first time it runs, it'll work perfectly. But the second time it runs, it'll cause an error because you can't have two sheets with the same name, I'm new. So let's try that. I'll click in the Object Variable sub-procedure and I'll press F8. It's added a sheet and I can see that down here in the Excel file. And when I press F8 again, I can see I'm new appears. So I'll press F8 one more time to finish the sub-procedure. Now let's run it a second time. So I press F8. It inserts a sheet 4 in my case, and I press F8 again, and I get an error. When I read the error, it says runtime error 1004 and says that name is already taken. Try a different one. Then the user has the option of clicking end or debug. If they click end, it'll just end the code and the problem will go away. But if they click debug, they'll actually be taken into your code. And I'll do so. And this is the last thing we want. We do not want the user to be going into the code and then trying to fix it themselves or accidentally causing problems. So in no time ever should a user encounter end or debug. We need to write error handling code so that we can handle any errors that occur. I'm going to click the reset button, which is the blue square, to turn off the stepping, and I'm going to add some generic error handling that I always add to my code. Immediately under the sub, I'm going to add a statement, and it has to be immediately under the sub so that right from the get-go, if there's an error, it knows what to do. So I'm going to say on error, go to ErrorHandle, which is the name of a section I'm going to create. And there it is there. On error, go to ErrorHandle. Now let's make the section called ErrorHandle. ErrorHandle, colon, enter. In the ErrorHandle section, I would like, if there's an error, for a message box to come up. So I'll put message box, and I'd like to show the text, Err.Number, space, double quote. So it's going to say Err.Number and a space. Then I'd like to add, so and, the actual Err.Number. I want to see the Err.Number. I'll press space and I'll press underscore so I can continue this statement on the next line. I want to see the words Err.Number and then the actual Err.Number. And I want a carriage return, so I'm going to put character 13. And in fact, I'll have two carriage returns, so I'll put it in twice. So Err.Number and what it is, enter, enter. Then I want to see more text that says description. Description, colon, space, double quote, and I want to see the error description. So it'll actually show me the error description and then an underscore. So Err.Number, in actual fact, just for reasons of consistency, I might put a colon under that. So it'll be Err.Number, colon, then what it is, enter, enter, description, colon, and then what it is. And then I'll put another couple of enters. Just put a space in there and I'll copy and paste this. Err.Number and the Err.Number, underscore, and enter, underscore, and description and error description, underscore, couple of enters, and then I'd like to say, and double quote, there's an ampersand missing there, that's the problem. Red is never a cool colour. The text and the error number, and enter, and the description and the error description, and enter, and please contact Cathi on 0272852389. That's what I want it to say. So the text error number and what it is, enter, the text description and what it is, enter, and then please contact Cathi on that phone number or maybe on an email. Cathi@extra.co.nz for international clients. So having brought up that message, and you can completely, as you can see, customize it to whatever you want it to say, I then want it to resume the ErrorExit section. So I've done my error handle, now go to the ErrorExit section. Now structurally, the ErrorExit section is always above the error handle section. So I'm going to put it up here, ErrorExit, colon. Once it hits this section, I simply want it to exit the sub-procedure. And that is my error handling. The reason we put things where they are, just to go back to this first statement, is on error, go to error handle. That is immediately under the sub, so it knows immediately what to do in the case of an error. If somehow the code goes rogue, I want it to hit the error exit section and exit the sub-procedure before it hits the error handle section. That is, it will never go to the error handle section unless there's actually an error. If we put the error exit section under the error handle section, let me just demonstrate. I cut that out and put that there. If, for example, there was some sort of rogue problem in this code, it may actually continue and go into the error handle and start telling them that they've got an error when they haven't. So that is why we put the error exit, if I undo, immediately above the error handle. And the only way they'll get to this section is if there's actually an error. So now let's run this and see what it does. So I press F8, I add a new sheet, and then I go to name it I'm new. That immediately bypasses the error exit and goes straight into the error handle. If I press F8, here is my message. Now I'll put it near the code. So error number, colon, there it is there, and then the actual error number, 1004. Enter, the description there, and then the actual error description. The name is already taken, try a different one. Enter, and then my last message, please contact Cathi on this email. And then OK, and that's handled. I would then copy and paste that error handling to all my sub-procedures in all my modules. So I'm just going to copy this and add it to this sub-procedure because I want it all handled in the same way. And this particular statement here, I would add as well. And that will just polish off your code by adding error handling to all your sub-procedures.